Emily stood beneath the shimmering chandeliers, the weight of the CEO's mockery still hanging in the air. She had never intended to be the center of attention. She only wanted to finish her shift and go home to her mother. But something inside her refused to shrink. Her fingers tightened around the worn violin case. She opened the case gently, almost reverently. The violin wasn't new or polished. It carried scratches, faded varnish, and the legacy of her late father, who had taught her how to play before she was old enough to read. Tonight, she held not just an instrument, but years of memories and resilience. The room buzzed with low laughter at first. Some guests were already preparing to record her, as if expecting a joke. Emily felt their eyes press against her, heavy and judgmental. But as she raised the bow, her breathing steadied. The first note emerged like a whispered truth, soft, trembling, but pure. Silence rippled through the hall. Conversations paused mid-sentence. Forks hovered above plates. Emily didn't notice any of it. As she played, she fell into the familiar world her father built for her, a world with no mockery, no pressure, only sound and heart. The melody soared, tender and aching at once. The CEO's smirk disappeared. Richard Hale had expected a clumsy tune, something to amuse his wealthy guests. Instead, Emily's performance wrapped around the room like a spell. Her technique was precise, her emotion raw. She played as though she had waited her whole life for someone to truly listen. Even the orchestra hired for the event watched her with stunned admiration. Violinists trained for decades exchanged looks of disbelief. A few guests blinked back tears, not fully understanding why this girl's music stirred something so deep inside them. Emily's eyes stayed closed, letting the world fade. Her mother, working near the back, froze mid-step when she heard the familiar notes. She had heard Emily practice every evening after work, pouring her exhaustion into art. But she had never heard her daughter play like this, fearless, powerful, unshakably confident. Pride swelled in her chest, almost painful. Emily shifted into a second movement, faster, more daring. Her bow danced across the strings with agility that defied her age. The audience leaned forward subconsciously. The music filled every inch of the grand ballroom, rising past the marble walls and glittering lights, touching even those who believed themselves unmovable. Her performance wasn't rehearsed for perfection. It was lived. Every note carried the echo of long nights practicing in a cramped apartment. The sound of her father whispering corrections, the determination she clung to even when money was tight. Her struggles blended into artistry, forming a melody that felt like truth. By the time she reached the final crescendo, the hall wasn't breathing. Even Richard Hale, a man known for his cold efficiency, felt an unfamiliar tightness in his chest. This girl, this waitress he had mocked, played with a mastery that humbled him. Her music wasn't entertainment, it was revelation. The final note lingered in the air before dissolving into silence. Emily lowered her violin slowly, unsure of what would follow. For a moment nothing happened. The entire room remained still, as if waking from a dream. Emily's heart thudded loudly in the quiet. She wondered if she had embarrassed herself. Then the applause erupted. It wasn't polite or casual, it was explosive. Guests shot to their feet, clapping with genuine admiration. Some cheered, others wiped their eyes. Emily stepped back, overwhelmed. She had never been applauded like this. All she had wanted was to get through the night. Her mother rushed forward, tears brimming in her eyes. "Emily, that was beautiful," she whispered, pulling her daughter into a shaking embrace. Emily smiled, breathless, her hands trembling around the violin. For the first time in a long time, she felt seen, not as a waitress, but as a musician. Richard Hale approached slowly, the humiliation visible on his face. He cleared his throat, searching for words that matched the moment. "Emily, I misjudged you." "That was extraordinary." His voice lacked its usual arrogance. He looked smaller somehow, his authority diminished by her undeniable talent. Emily nodded politely, but did not shrink. She no longer felt intimidated by him or anyone else in the room. She stood grounded, centered, as if performing had unlocked something inside her. The CEO opened his mouth to continue, but a famous conductor pushed forward, unable to contain his excitement. "Who trained you?" he asked, astonished. Emily hesitated, then answered softly, "My father, at home, before he passed." The conductor blinked, moved by the simplicity. "You have a gift that cannot be taught," he said. "If you want a future in music, I can help you. You belong on a stage." Whispers spread instantly. Journalists, musicians, donors, all eager to know who she was. Emily felt her cheeks flush, but her heart soared. Opportunities she never imagined hovered suddenly within reach. Her mother covered her mouth to stifle a sob, overwhelmed by what she was witnessing. Richard Hale stepped aside quietly. He realized that his wealth, prestige, and power meant nothing compared to the talent he had mocked. The irony wasn't lost on him. His attempt to belittle her had elevated her instead, and the room knew it. His authority was overshadowed by her brilliance. As guests approached to compliment her, Emily stood tall, responding with grace she didn't know she possessed. For the first time, she felt like she belonged somewhere beyond her life of bills and double shifts. She felt the possibility of a future shaped by her own hands, not circumstance. When the conductor handed her his card, her mother squeezed her shoulder. "Your father would be proud," she whispered. Emily's throat tightened and she nodded, holding back tears. She looked down at the old violin, scratched, worn, but loyal. It had carried her through grief, through mockery, and into hope. But now guests thanked her, smiled at her, even stepped aside respectfully. Her world hadn't changed yet, but the doorway to a new one had opened, wide and waiting. She felt something she hadn't felt in years. As the night continued, Emily returned to her role briefly, helping clean up.